Have you ever felt like you're just carrying this heavy weight around? This collection of worries, regrets, and fears that you just can't seem to put down? Well, in this explainer, we're going to look at one single ancient word that might just offer a way to finally set that burden aside.
I mean, we all know this feeling, right? That sting of worry, the ache when we lose something or someone, that constant heavy feeling of our problems. It just feels like part of being human, doesn't it? So the big question is, where does that feeling actually come from? Well, the perspective we're diving into today suggests something really interesting. It's not the events themselves that are the problem. It's the stories we tell ourselves about them. And boy, do we cling to those stories. Okay, let's look at a few examples. You've got a woman who's been grieving her husband for 10 years. An author just consumed by worry about an upcoming trip. And Sarah, who's recovering from a really bad accident. See, these aren't just things that happened. They become these huge, powerful stories that define a burdened me, a self that we drag around everywhere we go. And this leads to a really crucial question posed by a teacher named Acharn Sujin. It's a question that completely pivots away from all those familiar problems and points us toward a totally new way of seeing everything. And the answer she gives, it's not some long, complicated philosophy. Nope, it's just one single profound word. A word that has the power to reframe, well, pretty much everything.
Dhamma. That's it. That's the word. And it's not presented as some big, complex idea you have to study for years. Think of it more like a lens, a way to shift our focus from all those complicated stories we build about our lives to what is actually happening right here, right now.
Okay, so this is super important. Dhamma isn't a belief system you have to, sign up for. It's more like a label for what's real in any given moment. It's the raw data, like the pure experience of seeing or hearing or feeling, before our brain jumps in and slaps a label on it and starts weaving a story. Here's a perfect way to think about it. The story we tell ourselves is, I hear a dog barking, right? That little sentence is packed with concepts. There's an I, there's a dog, there's barking. But what's the direct reality? What's the Dhamma of that moment? It's just sound. That's it. The raw, unfiltered experience of sound, before the whole story gets built around it. Okay, so this difference between the story and the reality, it leads to something pretty radical. Something that completely challenges our most basic, fundamental assumption. The idea that there's this permanent, solid I running the show.
I mean, we all just assume there's a me in the driver's seat, right? Some constant self that's coordinating everything. But what this teaching suggests is that the reality is actually just this super fast stream of moments. A moment of seeing, a moment of hearing, a moment of thinking, and they just pop up and disappear, instantly. And here's the kicker. They're completely beyond our control.
So that thing we call a person, it's really just a bundle of processes that are always changing. You've got citta, which is basically consciousness. Then cetasikas, those are the mental flavors, like joy or anger. And rupa, which is the physical stuff, like feeling heat or cold. The whole point, the big insight, is that all of this is temporary. It's all just happening on its own, not because some I is telling it to. Okay, so you might be thinking, if there's no permanent me to fix things or control my life, then what's the point? What can I even do? Well, the path forward isn't about trying to grab more control. It's about developing a totally different kind of understanding. It does not matter. Whoa. Okay, that sounds pretty harsh, right? Almost dismissive. But it doesn't mean you're supposed to stop caring about anything. It's about this idea of radical acceptance, just recognizing what has arisen, whether it's a good feeling or a really tough thought. Instead of it being this huge personal crisis, you can start to see it as just another passing thing, another Dhamma. So how do you actually do this? How does it become part of your real life? Well, the path is actually surprisingly simple. First, you just listen carefully to these ideas. Then you consider them. You think about what they mean in your own daily life. The third step is to remember to apply this view throughout your day. You don't need a special cushion or anything. And last, have confidence. Trust the process, be patient with yourself. All right, so let's bring this all together and look at the final takeaway, which is this incredible sense of freedom and relief that this whole perspective can bring. And this quote from Sarah, remember the woman recovering from the accident, it just nails it. The goal isn't to snap your fingers and make your problems disappear.
It's about changing your relationship to them. It's about seeing them in a way where they don't feel so personal, so permanent, and so heavy. It's like taking off that backpack we started with. So at the end of the day, this isn't about trying to stop your thoughts or push away your feelings. No way. It's a practice of just seeing things clearly, of recognizing that your inner world isn't some solid, permanent me, but just this constantly changing flow of stuff. Things that are just happening, popping up and fading away all by themselves.
So, we'll leave you with this to think about. What if the most important thing in your life isn't the story you're always telling yourself, but just what you see, what you hear, or what you feel right now? Thanks for digging into this with us.